Hello, welcome to Suffer's World, and hey, it's all of our world. And today I just want to give a bit of happiness. Let's all just band together. I know pretty much the whole world now knows that we are facing some kind of pandemic, an epidemic, and we all must do the best we can to flatten the curve. Now, I know a lot of people are resistant to the idea of lockdowns or self isolation and quarantines and things like that. There's a lot of people who are paranoid, thinking it's a big government conspiracy to put us in lockdown and monitor our movements. It's like, no, we're just trying not to die. Okay, now I have had some difficulty wrapping my head around some people's attitudes. I mean, as of today, today is March 16th. It's very clear that we are in a world crisis pandemic. Italy is a nightmare, people dying. I'm in Canada, I'm in Toronto. We're doing the lockdown. Last week it was announced that schools would be closed for 3 weeks. And when I say lockdown, I don't mean an actual lockdown like some countries are. It's just getting the sense of, maybe we should stay home more. So today for me, this is my very first day of self-isolation completely. I meant to start Saturday, but then I went out and got a couple of things. And then yesterday I was going to do self-isolation, but then I went out and got a bag of flour. So today I think I will be totally isolated, at least for a few days. Now, probably like a lot of you, I don't have a lot of money, so I couldn't really hoard a lot of stuff. I have maybe 2 weeks worth of supplies, if that. And that's how it is when you live paycheck to paycheck. I don't even get paychecks because I'm a freelancer, right? And I know there's a lot of us in this same boat. I was making a lot of my money from going to parties and doing tarot card readings, but the three parties I had this month were canceled, and that would have paid my rent and some other bills, but now I don't have that income. And so we're all in the same boat. So I know I see a lot of people crying about, the retail jobs and this and that. But the good news for all of you with T4 jobs, like retail jobs, waitressing and such, you probably will qualify for government assistance and the programs. And once they get all those things up and running, whereas freelancers like me, we probably won't get anything. So, but I'm hopeful and optimistic, and I know we'll all get through this. And I am staying home because I want to flatten the curve. And what's important about flattening the curve is just that we're not spreading our germs. It blows my mind how I still know people who are insisting they're going to go traveling, that they're doing this and that, and they're not afraid of the virus. Well, it's not about being afraid of the virus. It's about taking care of people who can't take care of themselves. In flattening the curve, we are trying to prevent a rush on the healthcare system. And on my Facebook, I found a meme someone else had posted where they talk about how, you see how there's no toilet paper and there's no supplies. So everyone panicked and ran and hoarded everything instead of, just taking what they need for a week. And so imagine that, all those same people hoarding. Imagine that at a hospital, everybody rushing in at once, and there's only so much hospital personnel, there's only so many ventilators, there's only so many beds. And here in Ontario, we're already overcrowded on a good day with our healthcare system. So to suddenly have an influx of a pandemic disease will definitely cripple the system, and there'll be a lot of deaths. So the idea of flattening the curve is about just staying home so that even though if you're not afraid of getting sick, and personally, I'm not afraid of myself getting sick, I'm almost 60 years old, but I'm really not that afraid of me getting sick because I'm pretty positive I'll recover. I got really sick around Christmas time. I was really sick for about 2.5 weeks, and then it lingered for another 3 weeks of just exhaustion. I may have had this already. I'm not sure because I never went to the doctor, but the symptoms were all pretty much the same. But we didn't know that much about it back in December. Back in December, this was still in China, right? And possibly going around the world, but we weren't quite there yet. So for me, I just don't want to smear germs around to people who don't have the ability to fight off the disease, whether it's because they're immune suppressed or they're older or they don't have the drugs or they don't have access to medical care. And then ultimately, when the hospitals become way too overcrowded, they just won't be able to get the help they need because there just won't be room for them. And so these are all the things we have to consider. We have to not be selfish. We have to not think about just ourselves and, oh, I'm strong and very well, and I'm just going to go jump on a plane and go smear my germs around the world. Because don't forget, that if you cough or sneeze into the air, um, if people who have the COVID-19, the germs can linger in the air for about 3 hours. So, granted, they'll probably fall to the ground and land on your shoes. If you're walking by in a park or something where someone who has sneezed or coughed, and then you may come into contact with that over the next 3 hours, and the park looks empty, but maybe it's full of germs. And now I know I sound paranoid and crazy. I know I do, but I'm just trying to understand all the medical things I've seen over the last few weeks as the scientists are trying to understand the disease and how it transmits. Now, also, they're saying it can live on surfaces like metal surfaces for a couple of days. So this is why it's important to keep cleaning. Now, you may not have Clorox or bleach, but even vinegar, and just keep washing your hands with soap and water. Just keep washing soap and water. And I know for me, when I've been going out the last few days, I think starting around Friday, I've started to wear the nitrile gloves when I go outside. Then when I get in the car, I put the Purell on the gloves and wipe the steering wheel, wipe the car handles, all that stuff. And maybe I'm germophobic, but in real life, I'm really not. So it's just a matter of being cautious and careful because they're learning how it's spread, but we're not sure. And I personally do not want the elderly population to die from this, or people who have immune compromised systems. I know a lot of people who do have compromised systems, and so I'm thinking of them. And plus, my own parents are, like my dad's 87, and this past weekend was like the fifth year he had survived his heart attack. No, fourth year. He dropped out of a heart attack, but he had the surgery, came back. He's healthy as a horse. And my mom is super healthy except for Alzheimer's. Her brain's not healthy. She's, you know, not functioning well that way. However, they're both physically healthy, and I would really hate to see people like that dying. They make it this far in life and then to be wiped out by a pandemic because people weren't practicing proper hygiene and just flattening the curve. Okay, so this is it. So try to stay positive, do what you can. So if you're self-isolating, you're flattening the curve, and that's something to be proud and happy about, that you are doing the best you can to help the rest of the world. And I'm self-isolating, and pretty much what you see in this video is the size of my apartment. So if I'm here for a couple weeks, a couple months, this is it. This is my room, and yeah, it's not very big, but I'm going to do my best to entertain you, entertain myself. Follow me on Twitch because I am going to start doing live things where we can talk to each other and hang out. I'll do some tarot card readings. On my weight loss channel, I'm going to start doing exercises so you can laugh at me, trying to do Zumba or whatever on the camera and so on. So we'll all think of ways to keep ourselves entertained. And of course, since I'm a writer, I'm used to being alone a lot anyways, but it's a little different when you have to be alone because the world is falling apart, as opposed to I want to be alone and just work on my craft. So we're all in the same boat, so be good to each other, share your toilet paper, wash your hands, flatten the curve by staying in as much as possible. and protecting yourself and vulnerable people when you do go out to get your groceries. Don't hoard, just get what you need. Think about the other people who need things too. All right, so have a fantastic day, and I'm going to keep you updated as much as I can. Bye for now.